Okay, we have come to the last study on the Church of Philadelphia. And what of all the churches, I have been most uh, blessed by this church. And it's probably because it's the one church that appeared to have it all together. And we're always drawn to people who appear to have it all together. But the last couple of weeks, that we were studying. Last week we did not go over it, but the week before and the week before that, especially with the subject matter, it was just a real blessing to study Philadelphia. Now we're coming to the end of it, and then we'll just have Laodicea, as Mary mentioned, probably 4 weeks, and we'll be done with the seven churches and coming up on our year anniversary. So let's begin with prayer. We'll be getting into verse 11 and 12 tonight, and of course 13, but that's kind of given with all the churches. So let's begin with prayer. Father, we thank you again for your grace and your mercies. It's been nice to have a couple days of pleasant weather before our next storm hits later this week. We are grateful for your continued watch care. And what a journey this has been through these seven churches. We're just finishing out number 6. But there's some real promises to the overcomer we're going to look at tonight. So guide us, teach us, lead us, give us the understanding we need from your word. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay. 2-minute quick review on the prior segment. So we were going over the Spirit of Prophecy article from Review and Herald, and that was a real treat. Back to verse 9, the promise is given that Philadelphia prevails against her enemies, the synagogue of Satan. They all come worship at the feet. Really, as we looked at, and I did put up yesterday, I think it was last night, the segment video from our last segment. We have 7, 8, 9, and 10. 7, he talks the greeting. These things saith he that's holy and true. He openeth, no man shutteth. He has the key of David. And so those who he opens that door, they have a little strength, verse 8, and they have kept his word. So it's because they go with him into the sanctuary. They don't deny his name. So there's character change taking place. He then will make the synagogue of Satan, which, as we've seen from Ephesus and Pergamus, even Thyatira, we've got these Nicolaitans. Really, and though we didn't talk about it, that they're probably, to some degree, what maybe comprises some of the 5 foolish virgins. But it's Mary read that, well, we saw in the article, or I think it was Word of the Little Flock, and you read, these are going to be those of the 5 foolish virgins that come worship at the saints' feet. And so it's progression, because they didn't go into the sanctuary above. And as we know from our own life experience, most of our people are not doing that. They're not preparing. It's like a statement I just read this morning in 7 BC, 933. If we do not follow Jesus in the sanctuary above and cooperate with him to gain the victory, we will be found wanting on that day. Until we know where this is headed for, unfortunately, many of our own people, and they will come during the time of trouble, worship at the feet of the saints. And again, Jesus, verse 10, tells Philadelphia, because you have kept the word of my patience. That's the only time that phrase is used in Scripture. my patience, the word of my patience. I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. We looked at that. That's happening now. It also refers to Jacob's time of trouble, which shall come upon all the world to try to dwell upon the earth. Beautiful outline of and warning for God's people. And now we get to 11. And what's the next big event? Behold, I come quickly. Second coming. Hold, and so before we get into that next part of the passage, there's one other time in the 7 churches where an indication of the second coming is referenced. Do you know which church that was? We've already covered.
I would guess it was the other one that didn't have a rebuke. Was it Smyrna?
No.
Or... Okay.
Well, if it did, I missed it. Could be. Tell me specifically, Dan, where is it in that? No, you don't know.
I don't know. I'm just guessing. I don't know.
It was actually Thyatira. If we look back at verse chapter 2, (25), we see similar language.
Hold fast till I come.
Hold that,
Fast.
hold fast. You're right. That which you have already, hold fast till I come. So Thyatira we begin to see, and as you recall, Thyatira is the church of the Dark Ages. It's down there near the end of chapter 2, the end of that church age. And so the Reformation is coming on, as we see in the last, or verse 28, I will give him the morning star. That was a reference to John Wycliffe as the right prior to the Reformation. It really started with Luther. But there's that reference in 25, hold fast that which you have already till I come. And then there's also the kind of a cross-reference verse to chapter 1:7, Revelation 1:7, which is talking about second coming. I should have that in my mind.
Verse 7.
Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him. So this is probably the third reference in the book to the second coming. So behold, I come quickly. And this is also an echo of Revelation 22, or 22 would be an echo of this, really. When 3 times he uses that phrase in the last chapter of the book. And we've looked at that when we finished studying the book. So this next phrase, what comes to your mind, ladies? Hold that fast. We just looked at the verse there in Thyatira. Hold that fast which thou hast. Very similar to Thyatira. But unlike Thyatira, we have something added. What is added here in this verse? I haven't read it yet.
Well, it starts talking about let no man take your crown.
So don't let any man take your crown. This is deep. When we get to the next verse, I'm going to bring up something on the screen, and I don't want to take my thunder from that, but you notice it's in the singular. It didn't say, don't let others take your crown. It said, don't let no man take that crown. Could there be a deeper understanding in that than just what meets the eye? Think through.
In the New King James, unfortunately, it says it doesn't say man.
What does it say?
Let no one.
All right, well, that's just because, yeah, gender, that's,
may take your crown.
yeah, they're trying to be more inclusive. I understand that. True, a woman could take somebody's crown. That's, I don't have a problem with that. But the concept, the individual is what I'm going.
Okay.
Don't let an individual take your crown.
Like the authority, somebody from,
That's one way of looking at it, an authority figure. It also could be, I think we have heard the name Jim Jones. Oh, that was pretty.
It reminds me several times a day to remember to pray.
Oh,
Well,
yeah, you've mentioned.
because sometimes it comes up at a very, very good time, so.
Good.
About that.
You'd need it like all day. Sometimes.
Well, I know, but sometimes when you're in a situation and that thing, it really is something sometimes, and sometimes, most of the time it doesn't, but it does come up at times where it's like, ah, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Do you have it set for just random?
I didn't set anything. It comes with this app.
Oh,
It's
it's an app. Okay.
It's a Bible app, and they have Bible quizzes on it, which are not, they're not Adventist questions, obviously, but anyway, yeah, it's just a Bible app, and I did it just for a daily. It's got a daily, reference
Right.
or a verse and stuff. So it all comes like with that.
So back to this, no man take that crown business. So Jim Jones, and that's just what came into mind here. Those who, Jesus said, Matthew 24, many false Christs will come in my name. Well, I'm sure they've been down through the centuries, but he's the one that I think was the earliest that I recall, at least last century. And what happened with that fiasco, this man, and then we had David Koresh in the 90s. And and then remember what was that one called, Heaven's Gate down in San Diego? They all took some poison or something, and they all thought they were going to beam up into a spaceship. Those are kind of extreme cases. I recognize that. But it could be, as Elena, you mentioned, authority figures or these people that go off into some cult,
yeah,
or
No, I was just gonna say, are we talking about that section though, that no
about
man take?
correct, no man take the
Okay.
crown.
Okay.
But I think more obvious, more pervasive would be pastors of churches.
mhm,
Because we know from great controversy, when the final crisis hits, these people are going to hear God's people give the message, and it's going to stir everybody. And those
Are you saying then that when it says take thy crown, you mean the people that you're taking the crown from or representing would be pastors, or is that what you're saying?
they would be the ones who would lead us. Let's that's where I
An
was
authority,
Uh-huh.
So
an
then,
authority figure like
Yeah,
Elena said.
authority figure, like Elena said, pastor.
Yeah.
They will run to their pastor and say, these people are saying about the Sunday Sabbath issue and other peculiar truths that we know. And the pastor said, these people are fanatics. Don't listen to them. Many, I would say, just like in Adventism, the majority of those in the evangelical world we've got a similar mindset. You've got 5 foolish and 5 wise. And the majority are going to be foolish versus the wise. The wise will separate from Babylon and join up with God's people. But it's going to be a much smaller number than the masses of those who claim Christianity.
so this guy is saying in the Bible app that to take the crown would mean to take away your eternal life. Somebody
Correct.
take away.
the right to the tree of life.
There it says no man to take thy crown, they are to hold fast to the experience they have, so that no man can deprive them of their crown of life through getting them to yield up the truth. For the word take can mean to deprive of. Nothing should induce us to walk contrary to the ways of truth, and thus the loss of the crown of life.
Nothing. This is non-negotiable.
Yeah,
Should be. So God's people are to hold fast to this reality.
Yeah.
Does it New King James use fast or firm or something like that?
yes.
The whole,
Keep it strong. Keep,
you mean that when it says,
What word do you have for fast? Is it
In-
firm? Or
I'm coming quickly, hold fast.
you also
Says
have that.
keep tight. Oh,
Fast.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fast.
So again, there's another Revelation 16:17 also comes to mind. It's a little different subject matter, but it's referring to the warning. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest they walk naked and see his shame. It would be in the same mindset, same warning. This one's dealing with crown, that one's dealing with garments. Okay. Any other thoughts on that before we go to verse 12 that anybody would like to share? No?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So in verse 12, there's a lot in this verse. Now we've got to the overcoming section of Philadelphia. So right off, how many things are mentioned here to the overcomer?
How many what?
How many things are mentioned to
Okay.
the overcomer?
Pegar in the temple, and she shall go more out. Name on him.
I don't know, 4?
I
No,
got 5.
more?
It goes along with the number of the church in sequence.
Oh. I will make a pillar, that's 1.
That's 1.
He shall go no more, that's 2.
2,
I will write on him the name of my God, that's 3.
3,
And the name of the city of God and the New Jerusalem,
4,
Okay,
which come
and I
not
will write on him my new name. 5.
I get 6.
Oh,
Well, here's where it depends how you cut the pie.
because it says, I will write on him the name of my God and the name of the city of my
City.
God. And then he's going to tell you what those 2 things are. New Jerusalem
Yeah, so that has to be
and my
1.
God. So that's a one whole, because that's
That's 1.
defining what those
The
2
city
things
of
are.
my God, New Jerusalem. That's number, what is that, 4 or 5?
I think that was 4. Oh no, 4.
4.
Yeah. 1.
And then 5 would be which cometh down out of heaven from my God, right?
No,
Yeah. I didn't count that one.
I didn't count that one.
Yeah.
And
I will
then my
see.
new name.
Yeah.
So before we get in, it's up to you ladies how you want to do this. I can bring up on the screen what I was working on right before we came on. This might be a little small. So I decided to take the other 5 churches we've looked at.
Oh, Elena, you joined in the party on the screen. You're purple.
Poor Elena, she's got her magnifying glass.
I would
It's
too.
I wish I had one over.
yeah.
Oh, Elena, you know what I just did? I just pushed on the little magnifying glass with the plus sign in it, and it raised it up.
Can it do with you?
I did it myself.
Oh,
did
yeah, we can do it on our end.
125. Yeah, I did 125.
Yeah, me too. Well, I'm at 100 and it's good.
Yeah, I
Can you
just want
see
to
it,
be
Elena? Can you see it?
No.
Look in,
Mm-mm.
look in the right corner.
Right corner.
In the right corner, there's like a little magnifying glass, and one has a negative in it, and the other one has a plus sign.
Yeah, I'm
Push the
clicking
plus
on that.
sign.
push the plus sign.
Okay.
Is
It's
it getting,
better.
is it getting
It's
better? Okay,
Uh-huh.
we can do it ourselves, hon. Thank you. Thank you,
Yep,
Deanne.
You're welcome.
Good.
Yeah,
Now-
I've got 125 and it's nice and
Let me
big.
ask you, if I go down, does that affect yours?
What do you mean go down?
Make it
The
small?
numbers. The,
Oh, no, yours
No.
yours doesn't do nothing.
Because I will go down just so that I can get Philadelphia, because I only put the first 5
Okay.
churches in.
Yeah, go ahead. We
Yeah,
can't,
go ahead.
it doesn't mess us up.
Okay.
No,
Because we're the
we
ones
can
that,
raise up the screen. Yeah,
we have control.
we do. We have our own control.
Okay, good.
That's cool.
Can you see what I'm typing?
I will make a pillar.
Yeah. For the
Yeah.
Philadelphia?
So
Wait.
what we have here, I'll make a pillar. Now, while I'm writing this, ladies, if you want to, discuss what you found out about the pillar business.
Well, pillar is what holds up the temple, the building.
Okay.
And also I have a lot of verses that connect pillar as to a person, but the other thing that I thought was interesting is that the name of that pillar, it said, is naos, which means it's an inner pillar. So this is a pillar that's inside and not on the outside. It's one of those pillars. And as you notice, as you go in, the pillar inside, they don't have any capitals. With the pillars around the sanctuary have capitals all around them. They have that, silver
Yeah.
capital. The pillar's taken off when it goes inside because it's in the presence of God. So it takes that person takes off their capital. They don't have a capital on their head.
And why do they not have a capital?
Because they are inside. They are inside, covered
Yeah.
by the cover of the temple.
They take it off because it's like we're going to throw our crowns at the feet of Jesus. We're not
So
going
they
to.
come into the very presence of God.
Yes,
Mhm.
And that's why you take your
right.
Yeah.
crown and throw it at his feet. Good point. Yes. And that's the difference between the pillars between the holy and most holy versus the one going into the tabernacle. They still keep their capital on their head on top. Coming down out of heaven.
And they're
Again-
not going to go. So that means that pillar has to be, that's 144 because it says, or they're totally sealed because it says they will go out no more.
Right, they're
They don't
sealed.
go out no more. That's it.
Mhm.
They're permanent.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so what we have here,
Mm.
I think I will raise this up a little bit. Okay. Now, just something I was going to say earlier when we were talking about verse 11, that no man take thy crown.
Oh,
There was another crown mentioned back here. Let's see if we can get a different color.
Is that all?
you put something over that crown of life now,
Yeah, I'm trying to,
there it goes. Okay, now it's okay. It's just,
I was going to try to change it to red, but
it's okay. That's
What's
fine.
red now?
That's fine.
So this is under Smyrna.
Mhm.
So even though it's not mentioned in the overcoming section of Philadelphia, we did read in verse 11, hold fast that no man take thy crown.
Mhm.
Now, look at this. what is the chance of these two churches, Smyrna, which has no rebuke, and Philadelphia, which has no rebuke, and they both are talking about crown.
Hmm.
That's not by accident. This is part of Smyrna's promise, what they will get as an overcomer. They only
Mhm.
have two. Ephesus has tree of life. But crown is not mentioned in any other churches till Philadelphia. The only other church with no rebuke.
Mhm.
That's a note you want to make. But I do want to focus, coming back to Philadelphia. We've got, so we have pillar. And just before we get into that, I know you're going to give us some verses here to show
Huh?
that pillar is a person.
I'm sure that other people have them too, so.
Yeah, ladies, if you have anything on pillar or any one of these six that you want to share, feel
Didn't
free.
think.
I do want to call attention to 3 times Jesus identifies no other place, I don't think, in the book, if not maybe Gospel of John, but 3 times we see this, my God. 3 times. Why is he using the personal pronoun here? My God, 3 times.
And the message is sent from Jesus, yeah?
He's the one speaking,
Yeah.
and 3 times. Okay, so here he's talking about,
So he said, my God,
here he says, he will write upon us the name.
of my God. Yeah.
Again, he says over here, the name
Of the city.
of the city.
God.
So 2 of the 3 times is having to do with name, which, as we know, is character.
Mhm.
And then cometh down out of heaven from my God. When does, oh, this is not spelled right. When does that happen? When does the New Jerusalem come down?
After the 1,000 years.
So at the end of the 1,000 years, the New Jerusalem comes down.
Mhm.
Absolutely. This is very unique.
Mhm.
Very unique that Jesus is as though he's one of us. This is what he's saying. He's calling his Father like you and I would, my God. He is my God. And then lastly, he says, my new name. Again, did Jesus have a change of character? Why
Yeah, he
would he
changed-
say, I'm giving,
Changed his garments. He changed from his high priest garments.
oh, that's a very good point. I had not connected that. Very
Ooh,
good point.
Deanne got.
Wow, she just hit a home run. Ah,
Cool. I didn't hit a lot of those in softball. I hit a lot of doubles, but not home runs.
Mhm.
wow. I'm going to have to write that one down.
Well, look at that. She got it tonight on ours.
Wow, that's profound, Dan. I'm going to have to make a little note down here. My new name, because he has a change of garments. That's excellent. Okay. Anything else on any of these things that anybody would like to say? I did want to bring up about the Elena, I don't know if you read in Taylor Bunch book,
I looked on the other book more today.
but this one really was intriguing to me. And he shall go no more out. So Taylor Brunch brings up, which I hadn't really thought about, which was a good point. Just as the pillar cannot be moved as long as the building stands, so the Christian victor in the closing crisis, not
Mhm.
in the kingdom, but still on earth before probation closes, shall go no more out of the temple of God.
Because I think the names will be there. You are
Yeah,
sealed.
yeah, in the New Jerusalem.
Yes.
But why would they go no more out of the temple during the final crisis?
Because they are sealed already. They cannot see
Right.
They are sealed. When were they sealed?
because they
What church did we just come from?
before Philadelphia was Sardis.
So they were sealed under the Sardis phase,
Mhm.
church phase. As we can look down here and look at this. They shall walk with me in white.
Mhm.
So you have white mentioned once. Well, this line isn't turning out to be straight.
Who again?
Well,
White.
it's a
rain.
little,
Huh?
it's a little crooked. The other one's
Yeah,
down
I
below
know.
it.
I know. They're all a little. We're all a little crooked. White raiment. The same shall be clothed in white raiment, and he
Mhm.
will not blot out
Mhm.
his name. Oh, here we go to the name business. Did you notice that? Not blot out his name.
Mhm. Out the book of life. So that means they are sealed.
Exactly. They are sealed. I don't know why I can't get that, but whatever. Okay. And he will confess his name again. So under Sardis, we have name mentioned twice, just
Mhm.
like we see in Philadelphia.
Mhm.
And he's also mentioning now under Sardis, we have a similar phrase, but he says, my Father, not my God.
Mhm.
I can't seem to get these lines straight. So they're sealed here, and that's why they do not go out.
Mhm.
Good point, Elena. Good point. Okay.
Isn't that kind of like, when I think of that, I think of that verse, and I was just looking it up in Isaiah 26:20, where he says, enter into my chambers.
Mhm. And hide there. for a
Uh-huh.
while.
26:20,
Yeah,
Isaiah 26:20.
yeah. It's a refuge for the coming judgment.
Mhm.
That's the secret place of the Most High,
Mhm.
wouldn't it be? With Psalms 91.
Correct. Isaiah
26:20.
26:20. Good.
Yeah.
Hun, did you have some text on pillar?
Oh, yeah, there's 1 Samuel 2:8-9. There's Ezekiel 24, no, I'm sorry, Exodus 24, 1 and 4, verse 1 and verse 4.
What was the first Samuel 29?
1 Samuel 2:8-9.
And these are texts to show that a pillar stands for a person.
Yeah, and there's ones with stone too, Galatians 2:9 and 1 Peter 2:5.
1 Peter 2:5. Excellent.
It says that they are with the other members also known as the lively stones. I was just reading this dude on Revelation Bible Prophecy. What does that mean?
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned it. Peter talks about lively stones.
That's what that one is, 1 Peter, I think, 2:5.
Yeah. What is that?
Taylor Bunch says that the pillars, it is the pillars that keep in place and uphold the multitude of lesser stones of a temple.
Lesser stones.
Well, we're all considered stones because we're on his breastplate, and
Correct.
we're represented, each one of us on his, over his heart on the breastplate of the high priest. So
Mhm.
we're all considered stones there.
Did you have a verse in Peter?
Yeah, it was 1 Peter 2:5.
Oh, that's the first Peter 2:5.
Yeah, I think it said a stone. I have to look it up again.
I'm gonna look it up.
But I like your connection to the breastplate.
You also, as living stones, are being built up a spiritual house, a holy priesthood, to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God through Jesus Christ.
Is that 2:5?
1 Peter 2:5. And I think Galatians 2:9 has something similar.
So then, the pillar is symbolic of dignity, beauty, permanence, stability, and strength.
Right.
Taylor Branch also brought out the promises to the overcomer that he shall be one of the great and beautiful stones on which the others rest.
So does that have to do just with the breastplate? What about the stones of the city?
Well,
Because I don't remember learning about this. I think, about the breastplate maybe, but
the breastplate is dealing with relationship. He holds us over his breastplate. We're close
Okay.
to his heart.
right.
The pillars, the stones in the New Jerusalem, remember, the gates have the names of the 12 tribes, 3 on each side. That's having to do with character. You will know what tribe you are in before you go through that gate, because we're one of those 12. The disciples are in the foundation stones.
Right.
Their names are in the foundation stones that is foundation to the city.
So those stones of the city are the disciples.
The names of the disciples are
The
on
names of the disciples are the stones.
the names of the disciples are on each of the stones.
The foundation.
But each of the stones, it tells us in Revelation 21 what each of the names of I think the first one is
Well, there's like Sardis.
Sardius, and
There's
the first one I forget. We have to look it up. The second one is sapphire, I'm pretty sure. You just I'll just turn over to Revelation 21.
Yeah.
Is Jasper is the first one.
Jasper, yeah.
And then sapphire and
sapphire, yeah.
then but that doesn't.
So those are the types of stones.
Those are the 12 foundations.
But
Yeah,
And on those foundations are the names
of the
of
12
the 12 apostles.
of the Lamb, yeah.
But each of those colors of those stones represent a character.
Correct. Correct. Jasper, I believe, is like a golden color.
Correct. It's like an orange goldish color. Yeah.
And years ago, we heard a pastor preach on this. Each one of these stones are in such an order or layered in a specific order, because it's fire protection to the city. So when the whole world is being consumed in a lake of fire, the foundation stones protect the city from that fire. And the way they're layered is the way God designed it to protect. But I'm sure there's a lot more in
Oh,
the
yeah.
stones.
Because, what's his name? The one who wrote The Lamb, that one you
Yeah, yeah.
wrote the one on the stones.
Leslie Harding, yeah.
And he goes he goes deep into the stones.
and that's character.
Yeah.
Stone.
Yeah.
So it's
Characters involved.
character and disciples.
Yeah. On
Awesome.
those layers. So the colors of those stones,
Right.
each color of the stone is of course it's a different color. And then on each layer of those stones is one of the disciples' names, or on one of those stones, of the layers of that whatever it is, like you were mentioning,
Jasper.
jasper or what. Okay, so that layer, and then that layer has a disciple's name on it, but it's also indicative to that characteristic of what that color could stand for.
Okay.
That's why we're going to have the gates that we enter, and that our character that we've kind of grown into, not that we all haven't grown into Jesus, but we're going to have similarities with these different gates. Our characters are going to be, have some different similarities with those gates that we enter. But the colors are pretty interesting, and
Yeah.
you can look in that symbol book that we gave you guys, the one from Pastor Ted, that little hardcover one. You can
Mhm.
look up those colors in there, and they'll tell you what those colors represent, and he'll give you the Bible verses. So then you'll see, wow. So okay, so this is what this color, like emerald or green, right? Faithful or whatever. The different layers represent different characteristics, and so you'll see what those are if you look them up. It's pretty interesting. But what's his name? Is it Harding? Is that the guy's? Is that his
Yeah,
name?
Leslie
Yeah, okay.
Harding.
She's got one on stones, and it's like so in depth.
So where would we go to find that info on the colors and the disciples' names with each color? So we can get the color out of the symbols book.
Correct. So they show you, like Rod said, like in chapter 21, you can pick out the colors.
Yeah, I've got that.
Or the names of the stones.
Yeah.
The names of the stones. I don't know the color.
See right here, this is how interesting this book is. This one's called Stones of Fire, right?
I don't see anything.
Okay, let me see if I can.
Oh.
See that? Can you see that book, Stones of Fire? There's a big diamond.
I don't see anything but the page that he put up.
Oh,
So
I
what?
can take the page off.
Okay. Okay.
Now what?
See this book?
Yeah.
Okay. You would like this book, Deanne. I think you really would. And so this one, I just hadn't finished reading it because we had to move. But he's got this chapter here. It says these 12 types of characteristics in detail.
Okay, this is what's his name?
This
Leslie
one
Harding.
is
Leslie Harding. Okay.
And this thing goes through. Now, like I said, I would definitely use Pastor Ted's book with it, that symbol book, because you'll get the colors, what they mean.
Okay.
But he has, I mean, this guy goes in depth. He goes into the breastplate,
Yeah.
it was really good.
Wasn't his sanctuary book about 2 inches?
Oh yeah, and see, this was not that thick.
And that one,
It's not that thick.
he was quite a
He was a
stud-
scholar. He was a scholar
was
on the sanctuary.
man.
And, the church is deeply indebted to some of our pillars of last century. He died just like 15 years ago, but wow, what a scholar, and how grateful we have his works.
I mean, he's got a whole section on here like Ephraim, Manasseh, and Benjamin on the west. And then he goes into talking about the Janeth stone. It's orange and red. And so he goes into talking about what that represents. Because, you remember over each
Banner.
Tribe had a banner.
Right.
Course. And one of them had the ox, and they all represented
Lion, Judah.
right. And so he goes into that, and he goes into the colors, and he goes in and he says their emblem was ox, symbol of patience, uncomplaining sacrifice. That's what their banner was. That's why that represents that tribe.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is a really, I need to get back to reading it. I just didn't because we were moving, so I had to stop.
I know Carol goes into the characteristics.
Oh man.
But I haven't, to find time to listen,
Sure.
it's like,
Yeah.
how do we even take more?
It's interesting because Rod and I were just talking, we said now we know why Spirit of Prophecy focuses so much on the sanctuary. because, and she says that, of course, because it's a representative of who and Carol has said that, of who we are, how we are to even react to people.
Yeah.
She brings up, why is there a border around the sanctuary? Well, for many reasons. One, if the white curtain was lower, there really wouldn't be much privacy, right? When we go in there to talk to the Lord about what we've done and the sacrifice, right? That we, our sins. So God makes that where it's very private. It's nobody else's business. But then also it's interesting, and Carol and Karen brought this up, and I just, it's the truth. She says, we have boundaries. The sanctuary has boundaries. That means we are to have boundaries in our lives, even to family and even to friends. There's boundaries. So there's nothing wrong with having boundaries, because that's what the sanctuary has. So it's like she says, every part of the sanctuary teaches us a life lesson. Everything. Yeah. It's just incredible. You can keep on and keep on learning. And you're right. She brings up about different characteristics of all of the different tribes. And she goes, once you start looking into those characteristics, you will see your characteristic in those tribes. And you will look at it and you'll say, you know what? I'm more like a Benjamin, or I'm more like a Judah. You'll see that.
And you may have two tribes.
Yeah, or a mix. And Carol says that. She says she feels she's more of a, I think she said Judah.
Levi.
Think she's Levi. I think she's more of a Levi. So I mean, you'll see your characteristics in those tribes. So, and it's much healthier looking at it that way than what our church has done over the years, and that is, which you shouldn't, and that is the temperaments. You hear people say, well, I'm melancholy. Well, I'm sanguine, right? But if you look at those, the originating where they came from the occult. So we shouldn't even be using those terms. And then it locks you into feeling, well, see, that's what I am. I'm melancholy. And a lot of people won't change because they say that's who they are. So it's much better to look at the characteristic, if you look at it, of the tribes, because they are actually uplifting us to Christ, their characteristics. They're not like a melancholy person, right? They're uplifting. And so those are the characteristics we should be looking at. But anyway, yeah, you would really like this book. It's a really good book.
I did read the pillars being, it also has to do with people that have been sealed in the sanctuary, the knowledge of the sanctuary. It has something to do with that. I don't remember which book I read it out of. It probably wasn't McNulty, it was probably Bunch. But it says to be very knowledgeable about the sanctuary.
Absolutely.
Which you've already told us and taught us for a long time, that it's the way to redemption. It's the road to salvation. We have to have the sanctuary.
If you don't have the sanctuary or keep on learning about it, it's all through Hebrew.
It is God's show and tell.
Yeah.
The gospel, she says, is the gospel in symbol.
Yeah.
Even a child can understand it. Daddy, why is that man taking and killing that lamb? When the child is 3, 4, 5 years old. You explain the plan of salvation to them as a parent. And this goes all the way back, at least to the days of Moses. And before that, Abraham, he's building altars all over the land and sacrificing. It was a sanctuary simplified with just the altar. It didn't become elaborate until, Moses takes, under God's direction, the children of Israel out of Egypt. One last thing before we leave this whiteboard, I wanted to, and I will make the whiteboard available. I think there's a greater message here, but just on that point, Dan, as we go through this, not only the benefits for each church are increasing, 2, 3, 4, with each number of the church in sequence. But look at the sanctuary language here. In the last two churches, white raiment, blot out, I will not blot out. They're going to walk with me in white. I will confess his name. So obviously there's sealing going on with Sardis, but then you get to Philadelphia, pillar in the temple.
Mhm.
They won't go out anymore. He'll write upon, again, dealing with the writing, just like we saw in, actually, we saw it all the way back in Pergamus. In the stone, a white stone, new name written. So we see that going on in Pergamus to those overcome. We have it here again in Philadelphia. The name of the city, my God, New Jerusalem, which comes down out of heaven from my God, and my new name, again, dealing with character. But right before I took this off the screen, I wanted to come back here with Pergamus. Again, dealing with the new name. So we have crown of life, which is mentioned in Philadelphia. New name from Pergamus, also mentioned in Philadelphia. We got the sealing in Sardis. Thyatira is the only one that kind of, it doesn't keep, it seems like, in the trajectory of the thought. You're going to eat the tree of life, crown of life, won't be hurt a second death. You get hidden manna, sanctuary language with the hidden manna. Then we have the white stone, which is also to the overcomer. We're here dealing with stones, white, victorious. But it's you see this theme being enhanced as we come down toward Philadelphia. There's more sanctuary, either language or terminology, or that which is referring to the sanctuary.
Mhm.
And I think that God has designed it that way. Now, the reason why it stops here, Laodicea, no more. You only get one. As we're going to see next when we get there, there's only one thing mentioned. You go all the way back to Ephesus, I'll give you the tree of life. With Laodicea, you're going to sit with me in my throne. That's to the overcomer. Which kind of, all of this is summarized in that one. You get the throne, you get it all. So I'll make this available, ladies. Let me just save this thing. However I save it, I'm not sure.
I took a picture of it and printed it out.
Oh, you already did. Well, I'll have
Or-
I don't know why. Oh, maybe it's over here. I'll have a copy of it export to PDF.
Just in case.
Okay. Here we go. But I decided to do this because I thought this would give us a bird's eye view of what we overcome with each church. Okay. All right, I think this was a really good study, finishing up the Church of Philadelphia. We will get into, and of course, 13, he that hath an ear, let him hear. What we've seen with all the churches, what the Spirit saith to the church. So we'll get into, one last thing. The seal of God, which we were just talking about with Sardis. The seal of God includes 3 items. The name,
The domain,
the domain or territory,
yes,
And?
the title.
the title. So you have like the president,
Mhm,
that's
Yeah.
his title, his name, his title, and his territory.
mhm,
So with God, we see all three things here in verse 12. You have his name, you have his title, and you have the territory he reigns over, New Jerusalem,
mhm.
the city of my God. It's just tremendous. So you have all 3 things there regarding the seal of God found in verse 12. Name, title, territory. And we're going to get a new name too. Jesus will have a new name. And that was back also in Pergamos. Okay, I think this was a great way to end the Church of Philadelphia. Next week we will get into Laodicea and what a church that's going to be. The most information of all the churches that we've been given as a people. All right, let me close out the video. This was a great study on Philadelphia, and just thank the Lord for it.